What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I am back with another review video. Big shout out goes out to Victrip for reaching out to me and asking me to review one of their electric bikes. This is the R6 model. This is a beautiful mini electric bike that just looks so good, and it's like the perfect size for teenagers. And just for size comparison, I'm about 5'8", and this is what I look like on the bike, so you can kind of get an idea. The pedal situation, not too bad. I wouldn't say that this is a perfect fit for taller people than like 6 feet or so, but this is probably geared more for teenagers, even though you could have fun as an adult on this thing, and that's what I'm about to do. I'm going to try to go over everything there is to know about this e-bike. We're going to talk about the specs. I'm going to do a speed test. I'm going to do a brake test. I'm going to ride around and talk about the riding experience, and as an added bonus, we're going to take it on a little mini off-road trail that I have over here, because I am, after all, at the world famous VoltedAdventures testing grounds. There will be chapters down below, so feel free to skip around to whatever part is of interest to you. But first, let's get started with the specs. So what we got here is the Victrip R6 electric bike. It features a 750 watt, 1000 watt peak hub motor in the rear, coupled with a 48 volts, 13 amp hour battery. This should give you a range of up to 35 miles depending on riding mode and riding conditions, of course. We have 16-inch by 4-inch all-terrain fat tires with super cool looking rims, coupled with mechanical brakes with 160mm rotors. This bike also has a front fork and an adjustable rear shock for a smoother ride. We have pedals with a single gear, a pretty large comfortable seat. In the front we have a headlight that's decently bright and turn signals, and in the rear we have an active brake light and turn signals again. The total weight of this bike is 81 pounds with the max load capacity of 330 pounds. And up on the handlebars we have a rear brake, a menu button, and mode selector buttons. In the center we have a super large color LCD screen, and on the left side we have our front brake, a headlight switch, turn signal switches, and a horn. And that is pretty much it for the specs. Now, as far as the price of this thing, it is currently going for $7.99 on the Victrip website, and I will have a discount code for you guys where you can get $50 off. Make sure to check that out in the description. Now, is this bike good value for money? This is exactly what we're going to test today. Now, before I show you the starting procedure and do the speed test, there's just a few things that stand out right off the bat. It's just how sick this bike looks in this form factor, this size, with the 16-inch wheels and everything. It just, I don't know how to explain it. The camera probably won't do it justice. This thing looks beautiful. Let me show you the starting procedure on this thing. Cool feature that this thing has is it actually comes with like an alarm. Hopefully you guys can see that. You get 2 of these, and before we start, the battery does have an on-off button, so you got to make sure it's in the on position. You hear that little beep, and after you do that, you just hit that center button twice, I guess, and the bike will turn on. Now, once you have the bike on, I want to address this thing, this on-off button. You'd imagine it's for the bike, but it's not. When you go to off, it actually changes the screen to the settings page. Kind of weird. I've never seen that before, but whatever. Flick it back to on, and there are 3 modes with this button over here, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to test the fastest mode. This bike should hit 28 miles an hour, and we'll see if we get that. Now, I hope you guys can see the screen well, because it is very bright out, and sometimes the frame rate difference between the screen and the camera makes it flicker, so hopefully you guys can see it well. Now, one thing I will say is this screen is absolutely humongous. One of the biggest screens I've ever seen on an e-bike. It's literally the size of my iPhone 15 Pro Max. It's just as tall and actually a bit wider, which is absolutely nuts. Alright, so I got my phone out right now. I reset the top speed. Just for safety, I'll put this in my pocket while we do this test, and let's see what kind of top speed we can get. Takeoff is nice on this thing. Holy moly, pretty girl. Takeoff is nice on this thing, and you get up to speed pretty fast. The bike is actually showing 29 miles an hour, and I'll just keep it going just to have just to get the GPS, give the GPS time to catch up. And we'll stop right now, and let's turn around and see what kind of speed we got. Let me stop over here. It did feel fairly fast, so let's see if we hit that advertised 28. So my GPS is reading 26.4. The bike showed 29. 26.4 is what my GPS is showing. Now, like I said, this GPS app does take some time to catch up, but it is what it is. We got a few miles per hour less than what was advertised, but it did feel fast and it got there pretty quick. Alright, so that was our speed test. Now let's go ahead with the brake test. Ooh, it's windy out here right now. These are mechanical brakes. They can be adjusted. And there's a bush coming up to the right. Gonna hit both brakes in 3, 2, 1. Actually, really good. They're like adjusted really well. We didn't lock the wheel up. We actually stopped proper how you're supposed to stop. But we're looking at an estimated 20 feet or so, between 20 to 25 feet. But let's give it one more time just for science sake and see what kind of speed we got. Now, as I was saying earlier, they're mechanical brakes. They can be adjusted so you can give them more bite, less bite. And one thing to note is that these are brand new brakes, meaning as soon as they bed themselves in, they will become better and better. But anyways, just for our experiment, let's run it one more time. Bike shows 24, brake. Alright, this time we did lock the rear, and I think we actually did better than last time. So, pretty decent on the brakes. And that was our brake test. Now, as far as riding this thing, it is a vibe, which I cannot explain. You can carve with it pretty nice. Get some nice angles right here. It is so low to the ground. Your center of gravity is so low. This is such a fun bike. I really don't know how else to put it into words. Almost like I guess the closest to it would be like riding a BMX when you were a kid. Just a BMX that's a bit smaller and has more power, like you can go faster. But it is absolutely fun. These tires, 16-inch tires, they are absolutely beautiful, and they are for off-road as well. They're like hybrid, so we're gonna test our off-road capabilities. Another thing this bike also has is cruise control. So if you hold down the throttle for, I believe it's about 5 seconds, so the bike will keep on going. That is a feature that I personally like. Of course, it gets disabled if you hit the brakes. It's pretty cool to have when you have long holes. Now let's see the turning radius, turnability on this thing. Holy cow, that is very tight turning radius. Super tight turning radius. This thing turns like a scooter, and this thing is as nimble as they get. Really, really fun riding experience. As far as speed, even though we did not hit the advertised speed, and again, somebody that might be lighter than me in weight might be able to hit that speed, but if you follow my reviews, I always say that 25 miles an hour is like my threshold on these things like e-bikes and scooters. Doesn't matter the size. When you start going 25 miles an hour and faster, you feel like you're actually moving, like it feels good. So this, what was it, 26.4? Pretty good. Now, to me personally, this is not really a bike for adults per se. You may get it obviously to have fun, you know, ride around the neighborhood, go to like snack runs and things like that. But if you're using this to commute, I suggest getting something a bit bigger. but it doesn't mean this bike is not fun. But to me, this bike is perfect for teenagers or if you're a really short adult. But yeah, overall riding experience is really fun. The sitting position, like this is me pedaling, it's like right on the edge of being too tight. As far as the bike itself, oh, there's that cruise control kicking in again. Super nice and convenient to have. Who are these guys and how did they get permission to ride my track? Well, anyways, what's up, guys? Alright, now it's time for our off-road test. Let's see how this thing can do, how it will do, how much power does it have. This mini trail is bumpier than what it seems on camera, and this will actually push this bike to its probably absolute limit. I can kind of tell already. Tires are rolling over things pretty nice. There you go, we're starting to gain some speed. There's our first obstacle coming up right here in the shape of this uphill. Oh yeah, we're carrying enough momentum to make it through. As far as the suspension, it's there, it's existent, but you know, this fork is a super basic fork. It's not gonna be anything crazy, so keep that in mind. Having the rear shock is nice to have, and it is adjustable, so I guess you could make it tighter or more plush if you wanted to. But seemed like it handled this part of the trail no problem. I don't know if I would be taking this off-roading every time. I'm literally full throttle the whole time just to be able to make it, but it had enough power to pass this trail. Now let's stop real quick and I want to see how the bike held up. Okay, are we good on? Yeah, tires are good, headset is good. That clacking you hear is just a fork. Like I said, it's just a very basic fork, nothing too crazy, but overall held up to our test pretty good. All right, now final thoughts. Is this good value for money? And things I like, things I don't like. Things I like about this bike is I definitely like the way it looks. I like the form factor. I like the size. I like the fact that it can go over 25 miles an hour. Now, we didn't hit the advertised 28, but somebody that's lighter than me might be able to, so I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I like the headlight. I love the turn signals in the front, in the rear, active brake light. I love that. I love having that rear shock. I like the battery as well, 13 amp hours. It's a decent enough size for you to go out, have some fun, and not worry about the battery too much. I love the size of the tires and the rims that it has, pretty unique. And it actually has a pretty large brake disc for the size of this bike. I also really like that screen. I think it's ridiculous. Now, things I don't like, the only thing that I guess I don't like would be the fork. It could be a bit better. Again, it does have it, so it's existent, but it's a very basic fork. The other thing that it's like I don't like, it's more of I don't understand more than I don't like, is that on-off button. It's misleading. You're thinking you're turning off the bike, but it goes to settings page. It's kind of weird. I've never seen that before. Other than that, the seat is nice. Everything is nice about this bike. Now, is this a good value for money? For all the things you're getting here, it's a pretty okay value for money. Now, if it hit the 28 miles an hour mark, GPS confirmed, I would say 100% it's a good value for money. The fact that it didn't hit the 28 miles an hour kind of bummed me out a little bit, but it's still a decent enough price for what you're getting on this bike. If it was able to hit that 28 miles an hour, it would have been perfect in my book. Now, as far as who is this for, I spoke about that throughout the review. This is probably more for teenagers and things like that. If I was a teenager and I got this as a gift, I'd be loving life. I'm pretty sure I went over everything there is to know about this bike, guys. If I missed anything, please leave a comment. I'll do my best to answer. If I was able to provide you guys with any type of value in this review, I would highly appreciate it if you hit that like button. It is free for you and it helps me out a lot. If you want to see more of these reviews, and there are plenty more coming, definitely hit that subscribe button. But that is pretty much it for me, guys. My name is Tom. This has been the Victrip R6 electric bike. I appreciate you watching as always, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.